Yeah.
Well,
Like it, it's like it.
I'm sorry.
I see it. Otherwise, it's not.
Um. So. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
No, it's too loud. Thank you. Um. Thank you for being here. How many members of council are here? Raise your hand. Stand up, actually. Stand up if you're a member of council. Here we have the youngest member of council ever. Alex Adams. He already attends council meetings, so.
yeah.
uh, Thank you for being here. The reason to have a fireside chat ain't fireside here, but we will maybe change the name of the fireside to something more attractive because we don't have a fireplace. What is it?
What kind of thing up there, because it's turning her screen and
I don't have to do that, but
Yeah.
yes. We have a few things to update you. And I think that we are at a very, very exciting time at Christ the King. How many of you are excited? Okay. We have had many changes, but things are exciting. Things are happening. And we have quite a few things to share, a number of announcements, and few of us have not been talking to you. But the reason I wanted you to see the council members who are present today is many of us here from members of the congregation who are not aware of what's going on. That they say that they never get information from the church, that they don't know what's going on. They talk about transparency. Well, you know, it depends on you pretty much to get the information that we are sharing. We are sharing it through Pastor Mandy's grace notes every Monday. You get another email every Friday with worship and announcements. There is a website with a lot of information. There is an app, so people can get information if you want it. I heard of someone who opens the email but just reads the top and doesn't scroll. If you don't scroll, you don't get the information. So take the time to go and read the whole thing. But besides that, here we are. We are wearing name tags that say we are council members. So please, if you have questions, ideas, concerns, plans, share them with us. Just look for one of us. In fact, starting now in November, we are going to have always, actually October, we are always going to have one of us as the greeter, council greeters at every single service. You're gonna find the council greeter, and the council greeter will be a person there for you to approach if you have questions and or concerns, okay? And it will be listed, just as we have other worship neighbors listed every, in every bulletin. The council greeter will be listed, okay? So you have information. What are we gonna talk about now? This is for you to talk to council, but we want to talk to you about plans for staffing. As you know, we have many changes in staff, so we're gonna talk about plans for staffing. We're gonna talk about plans for the Memorial Drive campus. And we're gonna talk about some updates. And then we're gonna entertain questions from you, okay? There are a few things that I would like to announce that you might be excited about. Yeah. Do you know that well, actually, you do know that we are negotiating with the Norwegian Seafarers, Siemens Church to take the space in the fellowship hall at Memorial. Okay, the contract is finished on our end, and Alicia has been negotiating with the Norwegians. That they're very excited, but of course, there is a legality and a team and all that. So pretty soon, Alicia, by the end of October, everything will be done on their end, and they are going to be moving to our campus. That's good news, because there will be then services at that campus, Lutheran services at that campus. But second announcement that you don't know about, and is really exciting, I believe, our bishop is moving to that campus also. The bishop's office, the synod office, is moving to our campus, okay? And they are moving very soon. They are very excited. They're going to take the space that used to be occupied by Emmaus, the former education building of the Memorial Campus. And they are moving right away. And the conversations, not only the bishop's office is moving there, but the conversations are, this is not guaranteed, but that Luther Hill will have an office there, and the campus minister is going to move in there also. So we'll have campus ministry and the bishop's office and Luther Hill and the Norwegian church and Umoja. So there will be a lot of Lutheran activity.
And Wednesday Bible study.
And Wednesday Bible study.
We could all start worship every Wednesday, not more.
Yeah,
With communion.
we will have communion after Bible study on Wednesdays there. So in just a few weeks, we have moved forward to have that kind of something that we may not have services every Sunday there, but that sooner or later will come, because now we have enough Lutheran activity, Lutheran presence. Okay? Is that exciting or what? So things are happening. Okay? You know what else may happen? It depends on you. I don't know who is interested. Maybe people will boo now. But you know, the worship committee, what's it called? Worship and music committee has recommended that as of All Saints Day, November 1st, we could have alcoholic wine again. That is for council to approve. There will be options, yes. There will be always a quadrant, you know that we have 4 quadrants. There will always be a quadrant that if you don't want the alcoholic wine, you go and commune there. So that there is an option. But right now we don't have options for those of us who like alcoholic wine better. So that has been recommended by the committee. And it will be voted on by council. So that the decision is not made by the pastor, it's made by the group, okay? So if you don't like it, just let me know, and we will vote against it because you don't want it. But it looks like you're sort of kind of on the side of bringing back the other wine. The tasty wine, okay. Questions on that? Any questions? Yes, sir.
I think that red wine is more appropriate over white for obvious reasons.
Okay. Yeah.
May I speak to that?
Okay.
Yes, red wine is more appropriate, but it stains the linens to where we cannot get the stain out. And so we would have to go to paper instead of linen. So red wine, paper, linen, or lighter wine. It's all.
Okay.
I see it.
Well, those are the details. We would leave the details to. We would leave the details to the people who watch the minutes. But we would vote on whether it's alcoholic or not, yes.
Bread with gluten?
Bread with gluten, I think that's not being considered yet. It's not part of the recommendation yet. Little by little, okay? Any other questions? Let's move to other topics. Pastor Manley. Can you join us?
Sure.
Let's give him a big welcome. He doesn't know, he pretends not to know why he needs a big welcome. He is working 24/7, 7 days a week.
Carol, be quiet. Before I talk about staffing, I want to call your attention to, we're talking about the other campus, to this campus for a moment. You should look around. Because all that summer work is done. And here's what you can see, because we added a few things. The total building is caulked and painted and all of that. And then we started adding things to the project since you gave more money. I've never had this experience before, so thank you very much. You'll see that all of the seating outside, all of the benches, tables, the whole megillah, as we say in New York, all of it has been refinished, all of it has been redone, it's safe, and it looks great. I was looking at the two that are right out there along the side, and they're really incredible. And it's the same people who did all the painting and everything else here. And then the altar guild said, gee, if they're so good, let's see if we can get some other things done. And so when you go to communion today and kneel at the altar rail on kneelers that are also been redone, you will see that the altar rail has also been redone. I didn't even notice there was anything wrong with it until I saw what it looks like now. So there's that. And then the last piece that's been done, and now we're going to do some rearranging in the northeast, was that altar table that used to be in here, that's also been refinished. So look around at what's been done. And for those of you who come by bicycle, I gave that up a while ago. The bicycle rack is back here behind the fence, in the Chaucer kind of yard that's there. If you ride your bike, it's there, the rack is there. And for those of you who, like me, have trouble with steps and things, you will also notice that the step that you step out to, the sidewalk that you step out to out here, is now very visible. At night, it's glows, it's yellow. So try not to step off it. Now, remember what that means. It means be careful. And there's two more things to say about that. One is that we do have one project left. But that's about to come to fruition, and that is the new doors that go into the garden and the columbarium, and that will be done in the next week or so. And then we're gonna bless the whole thing. So this is basically everything is new here. And that's kind of nice to see. The people you should thank, the person you should thank most is Gabriel. She makes sure a whole lot of stuff gets done, and then not only does she make sure it gets done, she actually checks that it's done right. So that's really, really wonderful to have someone like that doing that here. And just because she must be tired of now not having to worry about hearing what this place and finding something else to do, she's paying a lot of attention to the other counties. So you should know that. And one more thing, and that is that sometime in the next couple of weeks, well, at least in the month of October, I don't want to speak for that. The apron or the piece of driveway that goes from this parking lot to the other parking lot, which looks like it's in Vietnam right now. That will be repaved by the people building the building across the street. So that's a whole lot of improvement in a short amount of time. And mostly it's thanks to the fact that you have all been so amazingly generous on that. Any questions about, before I go any further, well, somebody asked about lighting. Oliver is talking with them about lighting the space in the back where the gravel is, because it's getting dark at night. And, I mean, it's getting dark earlier, it's always dark at night. We want to make sure that's safe, so we're working on that right now. Any questions about that stuff?
Amen to everything you said. Regarding that space, can we get a ramp that goes to the gravel area that's not as steep? So our cars don't get beat up or something?
So a little bit about that, that ramp is, sorry, when we negotiated for the new parking spaces out there was a lot of back and forth, because one of the projects that Rice is undertaking is rerouting our sewage line that goes currently that way, and they're gonna reroute it this way. And so they're gonna have to dig that up, and I thought it was gonna be finished by October. It's certainly in the next sort of 6 weeks time period. So they didn't want to do a better solution until they've done their digging. But when they do their digging for that sewage line, there is an intention that that gets better. Well, I dragged bottom on in my Tesla this morning too. So we're well aware of that, and it was discussed, and it's actually been improved from what it was when you were off in Maine. But it won't be kind of permanent until they finish the sewage line digging.
When I was coming from the other side. Like,
Right.
the other street,
Yeah, you,
and like come into that other side, it's possible.
on Sundays, we're being careful here. On Sundays, you can come in this driveway from Chaucer in. And by the way, there are 8 spots right here. I park there every Sunday. 7 spots. Okay, thanks. I just bought my car out of the way. But during the week.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we have parking there and we have parking in Rice. You might have an argument if you go over there. No, mainly, it's not because that Hungry's doesn't know we have the right to park there. It's because they have a third-party valet system. And those valet guys say that if you park there, they don't get any money. So if you have an argument, just tell them to call me. It works, and it really does work. So anything else on property stuff? Yes, sir, the other property genius over here. Go ahead.
The entrance off of, university is gonna go away when Rice starts. Pre-construction of that project.
Right, so every day I come down here and think, I wonder how I'm gonna get out of here, once I get here. I was asked that a couple of years ago. Well, we solved that problem. Anyway, right now you can go straight through the university, right? There's, if you're parking the gravel, you go straight out. At some point, that building is coming down. That, it might come down tomorrow, it might come down a month from now, it might come down a year from now, but it's coming down. When they start working on that, we can't go out that way anymore. So we'll try to let you know through the race notes or some way that you know in advance. But just so you know that we don't have, there's some things that we actually don't control, and that's one of them, so. Anybody else on property, because I want to go to staff.
What about the audio system? They
Oh, the other system in it works. Audio and visual. There was a little glitch last week because. And I can't explain this completely, but there's a cable that was, stretched too tightly. I don't know how you do that, and I don't know how it happens when it happens, but it happens, so that was one of the cameras, everything works.
It's much better today. It is much better.
It was worked on this before, excuse. So, let's talk staff. So here's the staff we have now. You have, a great deacon for youth and family and children ministry. And I'm not going to say this anymore, and that is that, as of now, and actually as of the beginning of September, he's being compensated as a deacon who has the amount of experience he has should be compensated for the So, one thing I'm committed to while I have this job is that we pay everybody justly. And that was a really big oversight that's been fixed. So the other person is the person who runs the place. It ain't me, it's Cheryl. She also has. And you would be, it's the fact that I still haven't figured out when this woman sleeps. Because I had an email last night from her at 11:30. And I had an email from her this morning at 6, and it's the weekend and she's not working. So you can imagine what the rest of the week is like for her. She's unbelievable. So she's fine too, and she's happy to be working here and all that. We will at some point, since she's been here 25 years, we're gonna at some point, probably not till January, have a party just for her. But there's another party on the road. And now come on the 14th of October, once the council approves it, and that is for, Santiago, who's also been here 25.
Yeah, thank you. Santiago, we want to have the party, council will approve it. Sure we will. He has usually, sorry. Yeah. But what we are going to do, you're going to receive on Monday, tomorrow, a message from me requesting donations if you want to contribute to a cash gift that he desperately needs. And could be a very welcoming gift to a guy who has smiled for us every single Sunday for 25 years, rain or shine. He's been there and he helps at the very last minute when we have a change and we want an additional table. He said, I'll do it. And somebody spills something that he comes and cleans it. So he deserves our recognition. You're going to have a message from me tomorrow requesting donation via myself. You can send it to myself, or you can write a check and put it in the box upstairs. Okay, thank you. So, Deacon, the other, Cheryl Maribel was, began here part-time. And she, was promised back in January that she would be full-time. Well, she is now, because she can do something that we really need done, and she can handle communications. And she does that extremely well. And I hope you are all noticing that the communications you get are, if you read them, are really clear. They don't conflict with one another. Because, and here's why. Who would have guessed this? Instead of having 4 people sending out emails to you with their own thoughts on what's going to happen next, you have 1. And that sort of makes a difference. So, so Maribel does all of that. What she cannot do that we had to find someone else to do is live stream. And so, thanks to the Bach Society, we found a young man who will be walking in here in a minute. His name is Nicolas. He's got a degree in audiovisual stuff from Purdue.
which somebody likes here. See? And he does a great job, and he's just the nicest young guy. His name is Nicholas. And if you see him, say hello, because he doesn't try to outgo you, but he's a really, really nice young man. So that takes care of all the stuff that we were missing, or that people left, is now being handled. You know, there's still 2 people who do our nursery care, and there's Arturo, who is right alongside of Santiago, and is like a clone of Santiago. I actually suggested to both of them that we should hire a 3rd person to help them out. And they said, no, we don't want to. Which gets me now to the 2 things you should know about that are going to be proposals, but I really want to put them in perspective. So the Synod back in whenever, August, I guess, Tracy suggested that she could get us, and one was anxious really to speak with an interim associate pastor. And I have met with that person. And this Tuesday, the staff was meeting with that person. I hope you listen to the process we're using. I met with her, she will meet with the staff, and then the council will get this. That way, there's no question about being able to work with the team that's here. Please remember that in the next call process. The staff has to be before the council, not after. Anyway, we'll see if this all works out with them, and then we'll make a proposal to the council about that. There are 2 things that would be helpful to me personally or pastorally, and one of them is a little more presence at the other campus that I can't do. And then the other piece, I mean, I'm there on Wednesday, but that's it. And the other piece would be the other thing that I feel terrible that I'm not able to do right now, because there just isn't any time in life at the moment, and that's pastoral calls on people. It doesn't fit, and it's one of the 4 things I think are most important to do. I just haven't been able to do it in 2 weeks. Before that was fine. That was before all you came back. So now that you're all back, there's other things to do. So that's one possible addition to the staff. But the other one I think is more important. Because there are people like George and David and others who are really helpful when I need a pastor. But there is also the problem. And so I need to talk to the finance folks to see if we can do both. But if we can't do an interim associate pastor and a property manager, not a handyman. Got lots of handymen around here. But a property manager for all of the properties we have. If we can't do both, then I would lean very heavily toward a property manager first. And let's be honest here, so we're not playing games. A property manager will cost you at least as much as a pastor.
Yes.
So if you want somebody to, so I don't know how that's gonna develop, and I really want to make sure that we work within the budget. And now I'm gonna say a word about budget and then I'm done. So there's a generosity committee. We used to call it a stewardship committee, but in the ELCA, we rename things just for fun. Or to be sneaky, and I don't know which one of these is true, but whatever. So sooner or later, you're gonna get a request for you about your stewardship. So here's what I want to say about that now. You're doing just fine. And if you keep your stewardship as it is, I'm looking at you only because, and you're smiling, so I can say this. If you keep your stewardship as it is, that's fine. We'll get through, it'll be fine. But if you can increase it, this is one of David Roshni's favorite situations. Because for the first time, probably in almost 8 years, there's the possibility of you thinking about your stewardship, not in terms of the budget of the church, but in terms of your relationship to God. What is it that you should be giving to God? And the church gets a piece of it because that's what our job is, to work for God. So that's a decision you all get to make on your own. And I'm telling you where I think the floor is, which is what you're doing now. But if you can do better if you feel that God is calling you to do better, more, so that we can do more, please feel free to increase your giving, okay? Anybody have questions about anything? Yes? Oh, mighty treasurer.
Yeah.
Speak it now. You want to like?
Now, this was not planned to add on comment, but I will do it now. I have 2 requests for the congregation. Mandy is correct that if everybody continues to do what we're doing now, it should be, I think we said just fine. Just fine. I believe that's true. Obviously, if everyone decided to give $1,000 more, it would be more than fine. That'd be great. I won't discourage that. He's talking about the budget for next year.
Yeah.
Okay, this year, we are just fine, but we always have heavy giving in December and really late November. Okay, knowing that that's the case, we make certain spendings and other things, we have saved money by not borrowing money from our line of credit and other things we spend in for cash. Not spending all the cash away, but it does create cash flow presentation challenges, right? So we have to work that. If you know you're going to make a contribution in December, and you could choose instead to make it between now and Thanksgiving, that gives us a view into whether we're gonna have a problem. So just this one year, right, almost all of us, including myself, there's a reason we wait for the end of the year, we have final decision, tax, or whatever it is that's driving that decision, bonus money, whatever. But if there's a way for you to accelerate any or all, any of that payment into October, November, instead of November, December, it helps with our budgeting. And it helps us understand really and truly, are we gonna hit target this year? I'm not asking that to be a long-term thing or every year, but this year it could be particularly helpful because of the extra spending we've had this summer, the other things that have happened. So that's item number 1, just I'll leave it to your own comment. Number 2, I'm gonna say here after this meeting, if anybody in the room even thinks that they have familiarity with the affairs of the old Melanchthon Institute, I have the communication and I read about that, and I'm trying to develop a fund, and I need to talk to somebody to find out more. So if you remember anything, if you know something about that, how that works, just see after contact me. Great, we'll do that after. That's not good.
Okay, we talked enough. I've talked enough. Questions? Paul, do you need a mic?
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
I heard you earlier say that I believe it was, Cheryl got a substantial raise,
Yeah,
and we also had the word budget invoked multiple times.
yeah,
Was that conversation within the budget? How did you?
yeah. Well, remember what we're not paying for. 50% of the staff.
Well, there's cash, but what about the fact that the congregation voted compensation levels and
No, what the congregation voted for was the budget for, staff. Not individual staff, but for staff. So yeah, you're well within what the congregation voted for. I'm a great believer in that. Yes, Marie. Sorry.
Yeah, there are a number of us that feel the need for somebody to kind of an extroverted receptionist that's in the church all the time and that can help volunteers with things like copying or, finding stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I think, because I often go up to the church door and there's nobody there except, hi, look at one of those, we used to have, and
Yeah, that person's missing, you're right. And the person who did it was doing more than that.
Yeah.
So let's just be honest. That was he did a great job. We can't afford it. So here's my suggestion, and you can talk to Cheryl, you can email her. Anybody want to volunteer I'm very serious about this, to sit at that desk for a couple hours every day and welcome people who come in. Feel free to tell Cheryl you're willing to do that, because that would help. It really would help, but we don't have the money for that. And frankly, Cheryl is here every day, Monday through Friday. Maribel is here every day, but Friday, when she works from home. I'm here more than I thought. And Ben Bremer is here a lot, and of course, then Ben Kurzweil is in and out. And there are people around who, by the way, I don't know how to run the copy machine, so. Or how to print anything, I don't know that stuff. And there's no phone in my office either, so that's why you get my cell phone all the time. But, please, if you're willing to volunteer, that would be helpful. And the other thing that would be helpful is that you could go out and tell people what sometimes people don't get here. And that is, this staff works really hard. And you'll see it if you work at somebody that agrees to sit here, so, and maybe sit the door. Another question, Gary. Parsonage. First, I'm taking a breath. So the property management committee had an incredible meeting a couple of weeks ago with a list. Chris and Ellen went budget stuff. There's stuff that we have to do with the other campus in order to be hospitable to people moving in. And there is the parsonage. So the property committee, and this is Susan Lundberg is the person who's been incredible with this. Susan gave us a lot of information about that house, and the council is getting 4 options of what to do with it. Option 1 is it needs a new roof. And so that has to be done. So option 1 is fix it and let it sit there. Option 2 is fix it and paint it inside to be kind of neutral white. And then either rent it, option 2, or sell it. And Susan even told us what the tax would be if we rented it. And option 4, so fix it, leave it to blank, fix it and rent it, fix it, paint it, and rent it, fix it, paint it, and sell it, or just sell it. And as is. So the council will get those 4 choices, and it's their choice. But I'm gonna say it now so that there's no question when it happens. If the council decides to sell the house, you must be asked to vote on it. That's a piece of property. And you can't sell it without having, the congregation approve it for sale. It looks to me that it would be a wash. We would not neither make money or lose money. Or we have put a lot of money into that place. And so, there's 1,000 questions you could ask now. What about the next pastor? What about this? What about? All are good questions. This is not the time to ask. Okay? It would be important if house is sold, that the money is socked away, maybe even invested in some way, so that there's money there for whatever is needed when another pastor gets on the campus. We certainly don't want a pastor living 35 miles away from our church. So, anybody else? Oh, yes.
Good morning. I would just say if anyone has really strong feelings, please contact the members of council to let us know. we're really happy to hear your feedback at all times, and I think that would be really helpful. Just shoot us an email, please.
Somebody else? Yes, Tony.
We have the Friday morning Bible study at 10 a.m. And the church is always locked. And I think that we should, from like 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. for people to get into the Bible study, to unlock maybe one entrance. And if people are really worried, we can put a security guard near that entrance just for 1 hour.
Well, we'll check that out with crossing the water. But when you've got 200 little kids in a building, opening it up even with a security guard is not exactly the wisest thing to do. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's another thing we all have to think more seriously about. Especially given the things now. That security has become more important. And doing things safely is more important. That's why the first council meeting I went to in September, I'm sorry, it was the second, but it was a dandy. They adopted 281 pages of stuff. Most of it was in the safe haven guidelines. And what got added to that was frail elderly people like me. So just so you know, we really have to take extra care about the kids who are here. In fact, I'll tell you one other property matter that's gonna happen, and it probably will happen this week. And Crossing Borders is picking up the bulk of this. The fence that goes across behind me all the way the length of, that's gonna be, replaced with the same kind of fence that's quite a bit higher. So that no one can reach over and grab a kid. You gotta think about things like that. Okay, go ahead, somebody else has. Yeah, Beverly, this time it's Beverly. I'll check your name on the.
Is the fact that, I know the, school brings in lots of things on it, but the fact that they utilize every spare inch of the church and the chocolate building and then we don't have room for anything else much, you know, is there any way to free up at least a couple of areas, you know, like the library,
I hate to remind you of what you did, but you did it. You adopted a contract with them. And that contract, it includes a lot of space. But that contract also included a lot of support that wasn't there before. For instance, that contract obligates them to give us $1,000 a month as kind of a sinking fund or something to put away so that if we come to a quote mutually agreed upon improvement on the property. And there's a group of people that meet with them regularly, I'm one of them. That money will be there instead of having to go look for it. So, and I get it, I hear your loud and clear, but, and if you really want to talk to someone with the same, response that you have, talk to Ben Rivers. Because he's got to move things around all the time, but it's the agreement we have, so we'll see where it goes in the future, but that's a long agreement. Just, you gotta hear it. 10 years, right? And if we ever get the right passing here, you can, I think, I really look at that as a major mission field for this church. I mean, there's 250 kids. That means there's at least one parent for every kid. And if we're not related to them in some way, it's one thing not to relate to your next door neighbor. When they're in your building, for heaven's sake, you've got to figure a way to do this. There just is no time right now to do that. Anybody else?
how many of the kids families belong to the church.
I think the number is 0. It might be 1, but I think it's 0. And believe me, this is not a reason to want to be evangelical with them, but you don't have the cars that those people are parking here when they drop their kids off. I mean, it's astounding to me. The amount of money is just in the automobiles. And so we would, that's bad reason to do, get more money, but they're people and they live in around here, you know. We just have to do something, and in my first 50 years ago, when I was young, the congregation I had a parochial school, and the congregation grew in leaps and bounds. Because all those people needed, they weren't members of the church when I got there, but they didn't have a pastor when I did get there. And that's all they needed. They just needed someone that when they had a problem, they could go and talk to that person. So I don't think it's rocket science or expensive to do this, but it does take time. Yeah. Somebody else? So please, I'm sorry, somebody raised their hand back there, I see. Jim.
Back to Tony's comment, is it possible to find space that is a block when both there's a meeting or congregation and crossing borders is in session during the week?
I'll see what I can do. And I'll tell you what the word will be if it's a door, if we can do this. It'll be that door that goes right to the front, right straight. If we can do it.
The guy is empty, yeah.
The guard's there, he's a great guy, all of them are great, there's a whole bunch of guards, so, but I'm sorry, it just, you gotta take the safety and security of the kids even above us.
But I thought what Jim was talking about is if Crossing Borders is having some type of parent party or little shows and stuff that you do, there's no place for us to park for a Bible study or we are really struggling to come and be in our TV place that we get.
Yeah, that's one word, that I get it, that's one word, that's one that we'll have to work to solve. Welcome back. Thank you. Remember me? Anybody else? Yeah, so you're gonna hear from somebody later on, before the first reading. I don't know who the assistant minister is, 11, but I'm warning you. And that's Maggie, who's standing right in the doorway. So, I'll introduce her on Sunday. I'll be in church, but let me just say this now. Maggie is with a group called Yagam. Anybody know what Yagam is? Good, it's 25 years old this year. What a wonderful age. Anyway, Maggie just got back from Argentina, and she's visiting places around Texas and elsewhere, including my old home in New York, to talk about that program for young adults. It is an incredible program. I'm not gonna let her talk now. I'm gonna let you ask questions here, but Maggie's going to do about 5 minutes before the first reading at the 11 o'clock service. Some of you, I'm looking at you, should talk with her, because this is one of those things that is really, it's a life-changing event for young adults. And it didn't exist until 25 years ago, so. Anybody else with questions? Maggie's really neat to get to know too, so just so you know that, you should talk to her before you go to church. Nobody has anything else?
Oh, that was like a grandchildren being ready to take over the job. Yeah.
You know? You guys don't realize how much fun. So. There's not that, I've been in much more situations like this, in other places. You are just wonderful people, and I decided to do this Carol will tell you, and she will tell you, that, I wanted to do this because I really, the building's nice, the worship's great, I don't know where else I'm going to church. But you guys are so incredible, and I didn't want anything to happen that would do anything more, do any more damage. I mean, you have had 8 years of one damn thing after another. And you don't deserve this, and the fact that you're all sitting here, and that church is full on Sunday morning at both services, is a testament not to pastors, but to you. You are incredible, and like I say, you're all fun too, so. I don't even, there's nobody in this congregation I don't like, I've never been able to say that before. Yes, I like you to be, so.
Maybe I missed the questions and I know I'm super late, but, the business, and this, did you talk about like hiring on
We
the,
talked about a property manager.
what about like the financial?
Oh, that's really well handled by Ellen, Chris, and the bookkeeper. Well, it's really, I was a little skeptical about an off-site bookkeeper, but she's incredible too. I don't know how you found her, but, and I have never met her except by email, but she's really, really, really good. So financial, the handling of money here is pretty well done now. I can't speak for the past.
Disbursement, how are disbursements handled? Like needs and stuff.
Well, except for salaries, which basically are kind of fixed. When there's a disbursement of any kind, the president of the congregation has to sign off on it. And so there are checks and balances for the war here. We're trying not to spend money.
Question. We're still doing our festival this fall?
Yeah, watch Monday's email.
Perfect.
The festival is also the 80th anniversary of the building of the congregation. So, there are plans, and Carly McGowan is sharing that. So if you have questions, email her.
Carly Gowan and Kim Williams, 9, are the team, Carly's are the.
Carly is your. But I would go to Carly because Terry's got about 12 things that she's. Yes, I don't understand what a former president of this congregation does. She's happy when she visits. Anything else? You should know that, Donna Bass's memorial service is on October 11 at 11 o'clock. The following week is, parents' business adjournment. Next week, we bless animals, and we have a whole day of council retreat, or budget workshop and focus on the other campus. So there's a lot happening, on the next 7 weeks. Tony,
The Box Society / Oktoberfest is on the same day as the tournament.
yeah. One's at 11 o'clock and the other one's at 4 o'clock or whatever it is. 3 o'clock. I don't know, I'm only the president of the Box Society, or I'm not sorry.
Good.
So there's no, it's a private, small, inert, not a big, long, service or anything, so there's no, go ahead.
Maybe you could do a brief word on it well.
Oh, yeah, for those of you who haven't seen this, so one of the things I give thanks for that is I wasn't here during this craziness, but you all know, and you heard last week, that, Noelle, is in jail.
Yeah.
Yes, she is in jail. She pled guilty, it's a plea deal. The story of how she's in jail now is funny, and sad. But she's in jail, and so that's what goes on between the district attorney and the criminal in this case. All right, we have no role in that, except we would have witnesses if it went to trial. The other thing was decided some time ago, and that is that's the civil part that does involve the church. And she also signed off on that, so there's money due to this congregation whenever. That's a whole other process. And it's, at the moment, it's $695,000. So, yeah, that's how much, that's money, that's damages here, loss here, plus interest. So both of those are done. Just think about this. This all happened in the last month. This building's in order. We've got really great plans for the other site. That thing is behind us. I mean, it's astounding to me that in a very short time, like all the pieces of the puzzles are dropping and you put the puzzle together. It's astounding that it happens. And thank God for, again, that you guys held together for all these years of chaos, because you're about to be at the other end of that. And it's cool to watch.
I'm assuming that we did not know when that civil trial,
The civil part, it's all done. But there's a process to get the money. And to get the money takes longer because, well, because.
We have received $100,000, right?
Yeah,
Against that six hundred.
do you have to pay that back if you,
Yeah.
you do? Well, we should
We
get,
did the last hundred, we theoretically, that, sure.
we
We have selected $100 of grace, 100,000 of the 600,000. And, the attorney was going about the process of collecting on the claim.
Yeah.
On the claim, the decrease, settlement.
agree, so.
That work in the court. And, tax, value takes in the homestead. And they live in, she lived in, a rural area and what's the homestead, what's really the farm, the horses and other things is kind of debatable. So you might not be able to go after all that, like, use different ways that the miners are looking at what do and other things, but you have to remember that a lot of the evidence that led us to this was spending on her part on things like feed and tack and equestrian related things for her daughters, equestrian career, and that's all it's in. So there's not a guarantee at all that somebody liquidate their assets, basically, without all. But we have a claim there, and one day, first day, pay it. But until then, we shall see.
Anybody else? Okay, so we have 15 minutes to get ready for church. I think this is one of those times, and I hope you will agree with me, that my favorite prayer by Doc Show works perfectly for us. So let us pray. For all that has been, thanks. For all that will be, yes. Amen. All yours. Thank you.
Very